عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. All together السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Purify this gathering with a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. One of the many valuable lessons that this epic story, the epic saga of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam teaches us is to constantly remember and recognize the afterlife and the akhirah, and to always prioritize that there will be a time in which there will be a transfer from one realm to the next. And however we may adjust ourselves, fashion ourselves, build ourselves in this world, ultimately it is temporary and only the tip of the iceberg. And the Imam alayhi salam alludes to this with a very powerful statement given on the night of the 10th of Muharram, when he writes to his beloved brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah Radwanullahi ta'ala alayhum jami'an. His brother, by the way, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, and many noble characters within the life and the lives of the family of the Holy Prophet, a few of them, many may ask, did not attend the events of Karbala. Notably the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You may look at Kumayl ibn Ziyad al-Nakha'i, somebody of the like such as Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam's husband, Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-Tayyar ibn Abi Talib. What were these notable figures who were very upright in the lives preceding the Imam of their time, Imam al-Hussein? During the time of Imam al-Hassan, they were upright and standing. During the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they may have participated in Siffin, Jamal, Nahrawan. But when it came for the time to wage war against the enemy of Allah on earth, Yazid ibn Muawiyah, where were they? Ultimately, my dear respected brothers and sisters, as a side note, the Imam either granted exceptions for some members of the Ahlul Bayt to remain past in Medina, because if all the men are killed, who's left? And so he would give some of them roles. I leave, you have to stay, somebody needs to remain. And we find this eluded on the 10th of Muharram, when the sick, Al-Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, is not able to combat and fight due to his illness. And so he dragged a sword with him, and he dragged a stick to help him walk, and a sword, the stick and the sword. But the Imam, his father, said, please stay back, because if you die, who's going to carry the message of Imamah after me? And so he tells him to stay back. Certain individuals were ill. Some say Abdullah ibn Ja'far, the husband of Sayyidah Zainab was very ill. Others may have had eye infections. Mukhtar was in jail. So everybody has their rightful excuse. In any case, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, this valiant warrior, champion on the battlefield, particularly Siffin, how he fights and no one can stand in front of him, Imam writes to him because he's not with them. And he writes, إلى محمد ابن الحنفية من الحسين ابن علي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فكأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل والسلام. A very powerful line. One line, but very powerful. Notice the words of the Imams. They can shake the heart the way the Quran can, subhanAllah. That's why there's an emphasis, my dear respected brothers and sisters. As much as you read the Holy Quran, inshallah, we all do, hopefully, on a daily basis, read the ad'iyat and the supplications of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alongside it. Many ulama do not differentiate between Mafatihul Jinan and the Holy Quran. Both of them are words from the divine, or either God's divinely appointed individuals. So as much as you try to get close to Allah, get close to His chosen people as well. Question, if Allah used a mediator, somebody between Him and you to reach you, as in who told you how to pray 5 times a day ultimately? Rasulullah. Did Allah tell you to begin with? No, but He sent somebody to talk to you. If Allah sent someone to be a medium, to talk to me, who am I not to use a medium to talk to Him? Next time they tell you, why do you say Ya Ali? Why do you say Ya Zahra? Why do you say Ya Hussein? Just say Ya Allah, number one. By saying Ya Ali, Ya Hussein, Ya Zahra, does not mean I don't also say Ya Allah. That's very ridiculous to say. Number two, if Allah used a medium to reach me, who am I not to use a medium to reach Him? Did Allah tell you about praying and fasting? No, He used a messenger. He used emissaries. He used awliya, appointed people that epitomize Him for man and womankind. Let's use the same way. You want to reach the president, you have to go through the secretary. Although you don't want to reach the president of the United States right now, I don't know why you would. But in any case, someone of authority, you have to go through a management because they occupy that position, of course. And so there are doors to reach in order to reach what you ultimately want to get to. The Imam says in this powerful, magnanimous line, it's as if this world never existed. He sees it like a flash. They say Prophet Noah alayhi salam lived for thousands of years. On the day that the angel of death approached him, he's like, it's time to go now? He's like, yes, it's as if I was just born yesterday. This dunya is quick, very fast, it's going to be gone. Hence says the man who we uphold with high honor and take as our first Imam, Amir al-Mu'minin, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, sallu ala Muhammad. Work for your dunya as if you live forever. Have long-term plans. Plan ahead. And stay away from this notion, I'm going to be dead. Why even bother? Anybody who has that attitude, stay away from them. Because they'll slow you down, because they're already slowing themselves down. Why should we bother? We're going to be all that slow. Hold on. Since we're here, at least make good use to it. They want to adopt a life of asceticism. And the Imam rebukes that by saying, لَيْسَ الزُّهْدُ أَنْ لَا تَمْلِكَ شَيْئًا إِنَّمَا الزُّهْدُ أَنْ لَا يَمْلِكُكَ شَيْءٍ. To adopt a life of asceticism, to be someone who is indifferent, someone who stays away from the dunya, away from the pleasures, doesn't mean you don't own anything, that you're poor, a nomad. You live a life like a monk, monasticism, where you eat the small, you're very thin and frail, you don't wear luxurious clothing, you stay away from perfume because it's too much, you'll get too close to the dunya. No. He doesn't mean that. Being ascetic, or adopting a life of asceticism, zuhd, doesn't mean you don't own anything, but rather nothing owns you. That Rolex watch, that Oyster chronograph Rolex watch, how much does it go for? $15,000? You wear that and you watch out for it. Make sure you don't lift your hand this high so it might hit something. You're very careful. Or that Audi TT RS, that thousands upon hundreds of thousands dollar car. You only drive it with carefulness. You wash it more than you wash your own self. Buddy, are you owning the watch or the car, or is the car and watch owning you? Live a life where you find a balance, my dear respected brothers and sisters. And the point being, the Imam states, it's as if the dunya never existed. It was such a flash. But then he adds, وَكَأَنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَمْ تَزَلْ. And it's as if the hereafter was always ever present. It's always been there. The Imam looks beyond the materialism and the materialistic realm altogether, and he sees the akhirah as always present. And he concludes his statement, وَالسَّلَامُ. This is a powerful principle that he brings about on the 10th of Muharram, or the eve of the 10th of Muharram, by reminding us that work as much as you can, have long-term plans, but it's going to go away like that, like a flash. They say Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he was constructing his empire, notably the Prophet was prophet and king, so he had a huge empire. He was constructing his empire and he had only one day off. And so you were really busy if you have only one day off, and so you really want to take advantage of it. So he tells his advisors, do not bother me on that one day off. Leave me alone and I'd like to relax. He goes to the high tower and he's witnessing his powerful kingdom, far as the eye can see. The Quran talks about this, specifically in detail, that he's looking at his kingdom up to the horizon, and he has the jinn and the human and the animals at his disposal. He's a prophet that can talk to animals. Hence why the notable surah that is attributed to him, Surah Al-Naml, referencing the ant that Prophet Sulaiman would have conversations with, and the birds and all the animals and so on and so forth. He's up there on that tower and he notices all of this under his arms and under his disposal. And he's leaning on his staff. He's old. And all of a sudden he hears somebody coming from behind. He turns around, frustrated. It's my day off. What do you want? Again, prophet / king / ruler / so on. You have a busy schedule, so you'd like to have one day off. This guy comes. I said, nobody disrupt me. Who are you? Salamu alayka ya Sulaiman, ana malikul maut Izrail. Peace be upon you, O Prophet Sulaiman, I'm the angel of death. I'm here for you. The prophets and God's chosen people altogether have meetings regularly with the angels. Hence, Rasulullah with Gabriel multiple times. That's how the revelation would come down. It would come down in one of two ways. Either the angel would bring it down, or either from inside him, Allah would inspire him. And so they would have meetings regularly with the angels. In some cases, they even would run into shaitan. Some of us go, yeah, I run into him every day. He's my brother or my sister. No. Shaitan, the banished one. And so he looks at him and he says, are you here for a meeting? Do you want to discuss something? Or are you here to do your job? Israel, angel of death, goes, no, I'm actually here to take your life, to do my job. See, I don't know how to make a bad day worse. It's your day off, and now it's time to go. In any case, he's like, okay, hold on, wait. Give me a sign at least. I'm in the middle of looking at my kingdom, observing it, appreciating it. They haven't finished. Let them finish. No, it's time to go. Why didn't you send me a sign, however? I sent you multiple signs, أيها الإنسان, multiple upon signs. What was the first? When you had that white hair emerge, was that not enough of a sign for you that it's coming? Prepare. He's like, yeah, that may have been something. He's like, fine, benefit of the doubt. When your father died, was that not enough of a sign? Indeed it was. When your friend, how many of us have attended funerals? How many of us have been there, and then the moment we get home, that concern is no longer in our head. The moment we go home, we're back to our regular day-to-day schedule and life. Is that not enough of a sign for you? And he recognizes that it's time to go, and when it's time to go, you have no choice in that regard. This fear of the afterlife generally stems from the fear of the unknown, my dear respected brothers and sisters. And the Imam states this very clearly, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Subhanallah, we are referencing the Imam a lot of times right now. Of course, how can you not when Rasulullah calls him Babu Madinatul Ilm? He says something very prominent, that An-nasu a'da'u ma jahilu, that people are enemies or in enmity with that they do not know. أَعْدَاءُ مَا جَهِلُوا, with whatever they are ignorant to. They become enemies to it. And this is a psychological principle. The unknown is always fearsome. You are always afraid of that which you don't know. Naturally. And this stems to politics even today. This refugee crisis we hear about, I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what they want, what language they speak, what they practice, what they believe. Shut the doors, don't let them enter. How about you go and know? How about you learn about them? And if you do, you'll notice that they're running from war, running from fear, running from a moment that could possibly end their entire lives and their families and their loved ones. Learn. The problem is not knowing. So the solution is to know. Ilm. This is called aperophobia, my dear respected brothers and sisters, where you fear eternity, which is synonymous with death. Because there's a recognition that life is temporary. Inevitably we see it. People going, and one day it'll be our time. So that is understood. But nobody has died, then returned to tell us what it was like. So it shows that that's an eternity. And I'm afraid of eternity. For one of two reasons. Number one, I just don't know. I simply don't know. But not everybody is in that category. Because there are those who know and recognize and have a sense of solace as to where they're going to be heading. And then, number two, they simply are afraid that what they're going to be entering upon is punishment and discipline, that they will be held accountable for their actions. So they fear the time that they have to return back to their Lord. And that's pretty much all there is to it, where they don't know where they're heading. So I've never seen it, so it's by default scary. Number two, I've been a horrible human being, and by this time, it's too late, and now it's time to go. Hence why Pharaoh, when Musa alayhi salam crosses the Red Sea, when the sea collapses back onto him, what does he say? Al-an amantu bi Rabbi Musa. Now I believe in the Lord of Musa. Where were you the last X amount of years? And Allah did not accept from him that initiation, that pledge that he now believes. Where were you? So it's too late. Why? Because he said it out of insincerity. He wasn't sincere. Because if you were, you would have made that pledge years ago. But you're doing it out of what? Fear. And in order to answer this, and to put some contentment and resolution in our hearts regarding this subject, let's learn about this process regarding the afterlife, such that we're able to recognize what the Imam alayhi salam meant when he says, وَكَأَنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَمْ تَزَالْ, and it's as if the afterlife was always present, and also to give us some understanding as to the process and perhaps remove any of that fear that lies in there. But just to note, this is a natural process, and if anyone ever feels like this is a PG-13 subject, that's completely understandable. It's not easy to talk about death, it really isn't. But we are in the month in which the worst calamity fell upon the holy household, and it would be wrong to not do justice by mentioning and referencing what they faced. We, inshallah ta'ala, we want to give justice to that holy message and what the Imam stood for. So inshallah ta'ala, we will do so by examining this process, particularly the system of Allah in regards to death after Allah. Salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The Imam alayhi salam makes a wonderful statement. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُ يَقِينَ أَشْبَهُ بِالشَّكِّ مِنَ الْمَوْتِ. I have never seen certainty. Now hold on, stop right there. Whenever you analyze the sentences and the wisdom of the Imams, it's helpful to stop at every single area that you can. As interpret it like you're doing tafsir. With every word, there's wisdom. And indeed, the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, with every word, there's wisdom. He says, I don't see anything like this. مَا رَأَيْتُ يَقِينَ. I have never seen certainty resembling doubt before. Oh, that sounds like a paradoxical statement. مَا رَأَيْتُ يَقِينَ أَشْبَهُ بِالشَّكِّ. I've never seen certainty resemble doubt like I have with death. Like I have with death. Because the only certainty in our life is death. That is inevitable. But the only thing in our lives that we doubt will ever happen is death at the same time. Because we see it happening, but we don't necessarily think it's going to happen to us. But deep inside, if not subconsciously, it's certain. And hence the Imam says, مَا رَأَيْتُ يَقِينَ أَشْبَهُ بِالشَّكِّ مِنَ الْمَوْتِ. If we can examine that principle very clearly, we'll be able to understand that no, it's not a doubt, it's a reality. And when we speak doubts and certainty, it's helpful to understand where they stand in the level of acceptance and contentment. Certainty is yaqeen in the Arabic language, as the Imam uses, and that's 100% certainty. You're 100% content here. Shak is 50% certainty. And so people are 50-50 when it comes to this subject. That I might fall into this path one time or one of these days, but I might not. And so there goes a long time period where we completely assume, no, it's not going to happen, because we're always on the 50 end where we assume it will just never happen. But deep down inside, it's certain to happen. And the Imam says, I have never seen something like this before, where the only certain thing in life becomes doubtful for everybody else in the world. What an interesting phenomenon. We examine this subject by referencing the Imams of Ahlul Bayt and their sayings and wisdom. Al-Imam al-Hussein has a wonderful narration regarding the life after death, aside from the one-line powerful statement he delivered in Karbala. He provides us a dua that we are encouraged to recite whenever we visit the cemetery. My dear respected brothers and sisters, I would love your attention here. If you ever make your way to Ahlul Qubur, the cemetery, a graveyard, it's encouraged to speak with this manner by reciting Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, As-salamu ala ahli la ilaha illallah, min ahli la ilaha illallah, ya la ilaha illallah, bihaqqi la ilaha illallah, kayfa wajadtum qawlu la ilaha illallah. The Imam is talking to whom? Us? Or who is he addressing? Those who have left. He's addressing those who have left. Question: how is he addressing people who have left if they're gone? Certainly they cannot hear him. Apparently they can, because he talks to them. كَيْفَ وَجَدْتُمْ قَوْلُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. How have you seen the power of the word, there is no God but God? O people of there is no God but God. And I ask you by there is no God but God. And he's addressing them. Obviously, if someone is unconscious, it would not be helpful to talk to them or address to them anything, because they're not going to understand what you're saying, nor are they able to reply. But the Imam teaches us that the people who have left us are still alive, but they've moved on, indicating that death isn't really a stoppage point. You don't end at death, you just transfer. It's a process where you go from one place to another. But when they transfer, they can still hear you. They can still speak back to you in certain occasions. And they receive the rizq that you offer them. My dear respected brothers and sisters, many of us, all of us, have those who have moved on and passed away. Recently we had a wonderful, loving member of our community, Al-Hajj Abu Hussein rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. How do we give back to them for all that they gave to us? The Imams of Ahlul Bayt, particularly Al-Imam al-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, advise us with multiple things that we can do to ask Allah to ease for them the process, but also give them more hasanat. In particular, 3 things. Number 1, by giving charity for them and on their behalf. When you go and you donate, give charity to those who are in need. It may be from the door of huquq, something that you owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, khums or zakat, whatever it may be, huquq shar'i. You gift it, you could even do that. Something that you owe as an obligation, you could still say, Ya Allah, send the ajr of this to the one who has passed. And you can mention their name. Or it could be simply a sadaqah, just a simple donation. And you ask Allah to send the blessings of this action to the one who has passed, whoever person comes to your mind. That's one amazing thing you can do, and the hadiths indicate they receive a plethora of relief and respite by doing so. Number 2, by praying on their behalf. Many of us, alhamdulillah, we establish our prayers. But look, if you live to be 100 years old, perhaps there's ought to be one prayer you missed. So it helps when you pray for them. Ya Allah, I'm going to pray a dhuhr prayer or an asr prayer. Not for myself, not the obligatory, mandatory prayer, and not a qadha prayer, but for the person, perhaps they may have missed it, who is now deceased. And so you do that for them, brothers and sisters, it goes a long way. Fasting is also in that same category, where you do these acts of obligatory worship, and you say, Ya Allah, send it to them. Even if they don't owe anything, Allah will still accept the reward of it and gift it. But look how Rahman and Rahim, Rabbul Alameen is to both you and the person who has passed away, subhanallah ta'ala. And by doing so, you are able to provide more relief to the person who has passed away. And number 3, the easiest thing we can easily do is by reciting a salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad for the person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my dear respected brothers and sisters, responds to the individual within the Holy Quran who questions the existence of the afterlife. Because we, in many cases, believe that which we can see. So I cannot see anything relatable to an afterlife. It must not exist. And that argument continues, I don't see God, so God doesn't exist. Yeah, but our senses are very weak. If you're going to rely on your senses based on your theology, then you're in a lot of trouble. Many people think they saw the hilal. Oh, it's time to fast now. Ramadan has entered. Congratulations. When it was just like an eyelash hanging over them. There was a case that happened once in the United States where a man thought he saw the hilal. People started fasting the next day. And it turns out that he had an eyelash hanging from his eye. And it looked like a crescent when he was looking in the distance. And then they rechecked. No, the Ramadan is still not here yet, guys. Be patient. Our senses, if you rely on them, brothers and sisters, you're in a lot of trouble. The scientific world doesn't even rely on their own senses. They use measurements. You want to believe in something? Okay, by all means. But what's your methodology? Oh, because if I see it, it has to exist. If I don't, it cannot exist. When was the last time you've seen your own brain? I haven't, so you don't have a brain then. No, because I've seen the signs of brains before. I'm alive. Likewise, if you're alive, who put you in this world and in this system? The previous research that shows that we came from developing humans, by all means, who put them? Start from the beginning. You begin at a point where something caused it all to happen. Well, who began that? We don't know. We're still doing research. We're going to find out. Hold on. There is a principle called the cosmological argument for the existence of God. And it begins like this. 2 premises and 1 conclusion. Number 1, it's a very interesting principle to have. So if you could memorize it, it's going to be very useful. 3 lines. Number 1, everything that has a beginning has to have a cause. Nobody can deny that. That is a reality. Everything that has a beginning has to have a what? Cause. It's only logical, correct? Ahsant. Number 2, everything that has a beginning has to have a cause. The universe had a beginning. Approximately 13.7 billion years ago. The results of the Big Bang. And no astrophysicist, nor atheist, nor anybody will deny that. 13.7 billion years ago, everything was pointed at a singularity, a concentrated point, and then it expanded. Yesterday we referenced the ayat referring to that, but that's not the case right now. It had a beginning. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. The universe had a beginning, the universe has a cause. That cause is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the argument may be brought forth. If they've accepted to that point that yes, I'm with you, I'm following you, but God also has to have a cause. Fine. If they've received that much acceptance, let them go to that point. When they agree that it was God, sure, let's say it was God, but guess what? Your God also has to have a beginning. Then you have to recognize that God is outside time and space. Why would He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, limit Himself to that which He created? You created time and space. Why would you limit yourself to that which you made? You're above it. It's like saying, I'm going to bake a cookie, and the cookie's diameter is like this much. I'm only going to restrict my movement to the diameter of the cookie. And the cookie is like, well, how are you able to walk outside of the space that I occupy? To me, the whole world is only this much. You cannot go beyond that. Yeah, because I made you. This is an interesting conversation between a baker and a cookie now. Yeah, because I made you. And with that being said, why would I limit myself to that which I create? It would be silly. And I see some of you smiling and laughing. It's a silly argument. But it's equally silly when someone says God has to have a beginning. Habibi, He made the very essence of a beginning. Why would He limit Himself to that which He made? A God which is limited is not worthy to be worshipped. And so Allah rebukes this statement here. And He rebukes those who believes that there's no such thing as an afterlife. By mentioning a few ayat, I'd like to share with you a few of them. وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا لَاعِبِينَ. And we, meaning the plural majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have not created the skies and the earth, وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا, and everything in between. Basically, Allah is trying to state here that the entire universe, I have not created it all, لَاعِبِينَ. La'ibin comes from the word la'ib. What does that mean? Playing. See, when a child plays, like right now, right here, la'ib, they're playing around. I didn't create this entire universe because I'm just playing around and there's no purpose. No, clearly there's a purpose because there was that cause. And so I didn't make it out of whim for no reason. Another ayah. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَإِنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Do you presume that we created you for no purpose, uselessly, and that you will never return to us? وَإِنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Interestingly enough, this is a line that Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam uses when he was a young boy, and he is on the streets. A man is walking and he sees a bunch of kids playing. Our 10th Imam of Ahlul Bayt, salamullahi alayhi. And he sees the Imam playing, or a bunch of kids, and he's making his way. All these kids are enjoying themselves, but one is not playing around, and he stands out and he's doing dhikrullah while they're all playing games. And he goes to the kid, he's like, young boy, I notice you're not enjoying your time and not playing with your friends. Moreover, you look like you're crying. And the hadith says he was crying. Salamullahi ala, a young Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. The Imam responds at a young age, at a very young age, and he says that أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَإِنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Do you think we created you for no purpose? Life is going to end. Notice a young kid, and he's talking about life and death. That we weren't here to play, like pointing to the children. We're not here to play like these kids. I have a purpose, and this Lord will have me back. I have to do so much for Him. This Lord, I haven't done enough. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt bring these examples to show us how to talk to Allah, whereas in actuality they've done more than enough. They've done too much in some circumstances. But they keep saying, Allahumma ighfir li dhanbi, Allahumma ighfir li dhunub, allati tahbisu ad-du'a. What sins do you have? You're hujjatullah ala khalqih. You're tahir mutahhar. According to the Holy Quran. Nobody, they're just teaching us how to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are sometimes desperate arguments made by those from the other side who claim that your imams are very sinful because look at all these words. Forgive me the sins that hold back the dua. Forgive me the sins that don't make my munajat accepted. Forgive me. What sins? If you claim they're perfect, how? No, hold on. They're teaching us how to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The akhirah, Allah describes it as khafidatun rafi'ah in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah number 3. Khafidatun rafi'ah. That it's a realm. Khafidatun brings some people down. Rafi'ah raises some people up. Meaning, there are those in life, CEOs, boss, kings, presidents, dictators, rafi' marfu'. No one can reach them. Hold on. In the akhirah, they're going to be down. Then there are those oppressed on the earth, shackled and taken in chains from Karbala to Kufa to Sham. But in the akhirah, they're going to be up, marfu', rafi'ah, held up high. And the akhirah does that to the human being. You think that that person will just get away with it? How many innocent people has, for example, Adolf Hitler killed? People say 6 million. That's 6 million lives. Of course, one life is more than enough. Allah says that in the Holy Quran. If you killed one, it's as if you killed all of humanity. Now imagine 6 million. How did he end up? How did justice get served in regards to his situation? Most historians say, although there's a conspiracy, but most historians are under consensus that he killed himself. So you're telling me he just got away with it? Yeah, sadly he did. To the atheist, this world, we're born, it's all one big circus, then it's lights out. No, there's a day of reckoning, of judgment. Does that not give you solace that that person who just got away with it will be held accountable one of these days? Rafi'ah for the mu'mineen, khafidha for the kuffar, mushrikeen, and those who oppress everyone, and even animals. Anybody who oppresses, al-zalim will be brought down in the akhirah. But the mu'min who is patient and sabur will be raised up in the akhirah. وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهْوٌ وَلَعِبٌ وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. In another ayah of the Holy Quran, that this world and this dunya is not but a distraction for the believers and a form of play and enjoyment. Now that does not mean that playing and relaxing is wrong. No. Find a balance. But ultimately what it is a phase where people, all they do is relax, and all they do is try to play around, as if that's their meaning of life. Really? Your entire purpose, your existence is just playing and relaxing? There's nothing you stand for? No principles? And then once it's over, what's going to happen? What did you leave behind? We're not saying inaugurate wonderful organizations, although if you can, that'll be very good. But what did you stand for at least? When you see the oppressed, do you stand for them in the face of the oppressor against oppression, or no? At least that, and then play as much as you want. But if not, what do you stand for? Just relief and relaxation is all I want. We're here. If everything goes perfect, at least, let's say at most 100 years. People have lived longer, mashallah, 125, one example. But if it goes perfect, we live that long. And then guess what? Eternity of either discipline or pleasure. And we will never choose anything over the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A man approached Al-Imam As-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. And he was a very staunch atheist. He debated the Imam. And the Imam debated, civil discourse, dialogue, and they argued, but the guy would not budge. He was a mu'anid. And the Quran talks about these people. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And if the ignorant person wants to خَاطَبَهُم, so speech, khutbah, like khutbatul Jumu'ah, if they want to speak to you and preach to you about their backwards ways, just say salam to them. This is somebody, by the way, who if you tell them the sky is blue, they go like, no, it's still red. Just look, no, it's still red. If you just look, I don't want to look, and it's still red. That's a mu'anid and a jahil. That person, there's no point to argue with them, because they're just going to believe what they want to believe. But what should you still do? وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Just say salam. Be kind, say salam. The moment, by the way, if you get into these discussions, and I address this to my wonderful youth, inshallah, apparently in society today, people really want to bash each other's beliefs and practices, which is very wrong and should not be tolerated from the Muslim perspective. You never bash another person's religion or belief just because it's different. Rasulullah never did it, you have no right to do it. But when people do it to you, you can choose to engage in debates and in dialogues and in discourse, but listen, don't waste your time. If you show them clear evidence and they still don't want to accept the truth, it's blue, no, it's still red. Well, just look, I don't want to look. Okay, salam. That's all you have to do, because you have your time and it's valuable. And we're only here for a short amount of time, so use it wisely, not with people who are ignorant like that. Do not waste your time, my dear respected brothers and sisters. The Imam alayhi salam, Al-Sadiq salamullahi alayhi, this guy looks at him and he's amongst these individuals. He's like, look, I still will not believe in God. And the Imam can say, Salamu alaikum, leave me alone. But he pushes it a little bit more and he says something wonderful. He's like, look, I give you one option. Would you rather consider two paths? Would you rather consider that accept that one of these paths has danger but has salvation, and the other one has only danger? Which one would you choose? He's like, it would be illogical for me to choose the one with only danger. At least with the other one, I have a chance of salvation. The same way, If it turns out to be the case, hey, by all means, let's say I was wrong this entire time. There was no God. There is no organized religion. There is no book. Let's say we were all wrong the entire time. Logically, with me and you, let's use our brains here. If it turns out that you were right and I was wrong, guess who's in trouble? Nobody. We're perfectly okay. We're just going to end and that's it. End of story. But if it turns out that I was right this entire time, who's at wrong and who's going to succeed? I will, and you'll be at fault. So who's going to receive relief? I will. But if it's your case, both of us will not be in danger. But if it's my case, you will be in danger. So you're better off doing what? Accepting the message. You don't lose anything by simply reciting the lines of there is no God but God, and that the Rasul is the messenger of Allah, and that the Amir is the chosen successor after the messenger of Allah. If anything, it's for your benefit. You become an enlightened human being. So you're just better off, logically speaking, accepting the way. You have nothing to lose. In fact, you have a better chance at receiving paradise. If you were right the whole entire time, it's okay, we end. There's no more story after this. But if I was right the entire time, then you are at fault. So you're better off. Your odds are better accepting the message. So why don't you accept? If at that point he still rejects, and this is a lesson we could use in some of these discourses that we might have, then do not continue this argument. Of course, this will fall into that category of وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. No need to waste your time. My dear respected brothers and sisters, when we examine this concept of the hereafter, we have to realize many people put their attention on what's going to happen. I just want to know. Is it going to be the case where it's another world that I have to relive? Or a process that I have to endure? Will it be painful? Will it not be painful? The Quran refers to the process, but it only gives some attention. Because since we're here in this dunya, there's a lot for us to learn. And once we get into that realm, then we'll understand what's going to happen. But many people bring the topic of barzakh. What's going to happen there? What's going to happen then? And we put so much emphasis on it. But the Quran only 3 times mentions the word barzakh. And only 1 time it talks about the actual realm of barzakh. The other 2 times, the word barzakh is used for another purpose, another meaning. And the definition for the word barzakh actually means to cover, to use as a partition. مَرَجَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ يَلْتَقِيَانِ بَيْنَهُمَا barzakh. That the oceans, where they meet, they do not mix. When you look at the seas, you compare them, the Mediterranean, close to the Spanish Gulf, you see that these seas do not mix, even though they have different qualities, different minerals, different temperatures, different colors, different compositions, but they don't mix. And Allah points to this. By the way, how would the Quran know when the seas are way ahead of the Arabian Peninsula? All of these seas, by the way, the bodies of water, when they meet, their individual states do not mix. مَرَجَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ يَلْتَقِيَانِ بَيْنَهُمَا barzakh. And between them is a barzakh, meaning a barrier. That's the definition the Quran provides for this word. The other one is the one that people recognize it for what it means to be, this purgatory state that people are destined to go after they pass. And it's referenced in this ayah. وَمِن وَرَائِهِمْ بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. That after they pass, there will be this phase known as barzakh ila yawmi yub'athun, until the day of judgment. So people are under the assumption that as soon as we go, we either enter heaven or hell. No, there's a phase known as barzakh where we stay there until the day of judgment. Otherwise, what's the point of the day of judgment? It's to judge our actions, to determine whether or not we go to eternal paradise or the punishment that awaits us. This is like a waiting period, pretty much, to complete this discussion of the afterlife so that we have knowledge. Hence, we don't fall into that category. The Imam says, النَّاسُ أَعْدَاءُ مَا جَهِلُوا. No, we don't have jahl in this. Therefore, we are not enemies towards it. Therefore, we shouldn't be that afraid of it. Although, if it is the case, then it is of course natural to be. We are human beings indeed. But now we at least have some information regarding it. That this is just a phase. The tip of the iceberg. There's a bigger realm. Infinity. Infinity is not a number you can even imagine. compared to the years that we live here, 100 years, incomparable. It's nothing compared to infinity. And so we have to be steadfast and patient. And after this realm comes that period. Therefore, we have understood to a certain degree what goes on in this process. And Allah takes care of the mu'mineen in this area here. But of course, if someone was a horrible individual, an oppressor, then they get like a mini version of the ultimate punishment and discipline that awaits them in Jahannam, definitely. A person who harms other people should not get away with it. Someone who kills 6 million should not get away with it. Someone who makes the children of the Holy Prophet die the way they die should not get away with it. But if there's anybody, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that really emphasized and showed and expressed that they do not care for death, in fact they yearn for it, then it's none other than the Imam alayhi salam's cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil ibn Abi Talib. This man, you and I can relate to him. Some say the Imams are God's chosen people. I can relate to them through their lessons, but I want somebody who's just like me. There you go, you have Muslim ibn Aqil. It's not an Imam Ma'soom, not a prophet, but an upright individual who understood the Imam of his time. The Imam alayhi salam. We want to give emphasis, inshallah, to the events of Muharram. What are we doing speaking in the events of Muharram if we're not talking about the events of Muharram? Muslim ibn Aqil is sent by Aba Abdullah to see the people of Kufa after they've written to him. History books say 12,000 books, actually letters, telling the Imam, come, we want to give you allegiance. The Imam sends his representative. But notice, my dear respected brothers and sisters, the way the Imam describes Muslim ibn Aqil, a way that we wish the Imam calls us. إِنِّي قَدْ بُعِثْتُ لَكُمْ أَخِي وَابْنَ عَمِّي وَثِقَتِي مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِي. It's something for the Imam to refer to his cousin as Ibn Ammi. It's another thing when he calls you Akhi. The Imam, when he calls you my brother, understand Allah's waiting for you. Just be patient. You'll have ultimate satisfaction eventually. When the Imam calls you my brother, that's something else. That's an honor. Moreover, the most trustworthy from my family. Ya Aba Abdullah, the most trustworthy? Yes. Muslim ibn Aqil, Rasulullah alludes to him because he's a Sahabi of the Holy Prophet. Many of us might not know. He was 8 years old when Rasulullah died. So he's a companion, a Sahabi. Rasulullah alludes to the love of the Ahlul Bayt for Muslim ibn Aqil. When he looks at his father, Aqil ibn Abi Talib, and he says, Ya Aqil, inni li'uhibbuka hubbain. Hubban lak wa hubban lihub Abi Talib lak. That I love you two loves. The love I have for you, for being you, but the love that I have for you because Abu Talib loves you. It shows that whoever Abu Talib loves, Rasulullah also loves. So Abu Talib has his regard for the Holy Prophet, and the Prophet likewise has regard for him. Whoever you love, I love. That's a big honor. The father of Muslim ibn Aqil. Now imagine, a man who the Prophet says, I love you. We only wish the day we hear Rasulullah say to us, I love you. How many times have we said to him, I love you, Rasulullah? What a blessed line to say. Say it now. I love you, Rasulullah, in your heart. I love you, Ya Rasulullah. And I love you, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ya Zahra. And I love you, Ya Hussein. Rasulullah says that to the father of Muslim ibn Aqil. What kind of a son will he have then? Muslim ibn Aqil, the thiqah of Imam al-Hussein, the Ibn Am and the Akh of Imam al-Hussein, sends him with a few people to Kufa. These individuals die on the way. It's a desert, hot. Dhul Hijjah, hot. And he dies. Muslim writes back to Aba Abdullah, oh my dear respected brother, Imam of my time, these two who were with me died, but I will continue. Notice he doesn't stop the mission. He doesn't abort what he's sent to do. I don't care. I'll continue because you ordered me. Because the Imam, if he tells you to do something, Allah is practically ordering you. Allah passes this authority to Rasulullah. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Rasulullah passes it to the Ahlul Bayt when he says, كُلُّهُمْ نُورٌ وَاحِدٌ. In other words, he also says that حُسَيْنٌ مِنِّي وَأَنَا مِنَ الْحُسَيْنِ. So if you are the self from Hussein alayhi salam, and Hussein is from you, what you say is parallel to what Rasulullah wants to say. What Rasulullah says is parallel to what Jibreel wants you to say. What Jibreel says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Imam Hussein orders you to do something, Allah expects from you to fulfill it. So that's why Muslim ibn Aqil continues even after seeing his friends die. Confident, forbearant, will not shake. He yearns death because he knows that after it, he can return back to the saints that have left him. Because you yearn those who raised you, brought you up, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ja'far al-Tayyar. He's thinking of them. Let me continue. He makes his way. When he reaches Kufa, by that time, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, when he entered Kufa, before him, he captured every individual that wrote letters. This is the history here regarding what revolved around the circumstances that leading up to the death of Muslim, ultimately Abu Abdullah. He captured everyone. Because some people say, these 12,000 people writing, come on, we want to give you allegiance and bay'ah. Where were they? Abu Abdullah calls Hal min Nasr Yansuruna. Only 72. Where were these? Slow down. They were all slaughtered in a bloodbath by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad in Masjid al-Kufa. A bloodbath. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad captured all 12,000. History books mention this. Otherwise, where were they? They were loyal to the Imam. They wanted the Imam to govern, but Ubaydullah found every one of them. They keep a record when you write letters of who sent what. As so he looks at every letter. This house, there's a man in that home who wrote. Hani ibn Urwa is one of them. And you know what they did to Hani ibn Urwa? On the streets of Kufa, this old man, they dragged him and dragged him. When you have the opportunity, please make the ziyarah of Hani. When you go to Masjid al-Kufa, do not neglect that man, that lover of the Ahlul Bayt, what they did to him. All he did, the least we could do is visit him. But of course, if there's any man you want to visit in Masjid al-Kufa, it's Muslim ibn Aqil over there. Muslim arrives, no supporters, all of them slaughtered, all of them gone. And he goes to the house, narrations say, of either Hani ibn Urwa or Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. He goes there and he spends some time, but the establishment removes them. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad visits the home actually. They plan to assassinate Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. It doesn't work out. Because at the moment, Muslim was behind him. And Muslim didn't want to kill Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad from the back. We, from Banu Hashim, he says, do not kill people from the back. If anyone's going to say Muslim assassinated someone and killed him without him defending himself, how shameful would that be on my conscience? I would not do that. And so he let him go. Where did you learn this? Amir al-Mu'mineen said it. That a mu'min does not cheat his way to success. Even at that delicate moment, he kept his principles. How many of us would keep our principles? Hence why the Imam says, وَثِقَتِي مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِي. But soon, Ubaydullah kicks them out. Hani is dragged. Mukhtar is imprisoned. Muslim ibn Aqil, his two children, Muhammad and Ibrahim. And Allah, what happened to Muhammad and Ibrahim? After Muslim ibn Aqil is martyred later on, which we'll get to by the way, Muhammad and Ibrahim, they're taken out, they run away. Do you know what happens to them? They're little boys, 9 and 11. They get captured. The 9-year-old says to the 11-year-old, I'm scared. Of course you would be, who wouldn't be? I'm scared, what do I do, brother? The 11-year-old says, don't be scared. In a little bit we're going to meet our father again, Muslim ibn Aqil. It shows that they love their father and they miss their dad. Of course, who wouldn't miss a father like that? Muslim ibn Aqil is now in Kufa. He goes to pray Jama'ah in the masjid. He begins with 30 people. By the time he finishes, he's all alone. Alone in Kufa. And he just wants somebody. He's thinking, I just want someone to take me in. I'm all alone and I'm wanted. And he's walking gharib in the streets of Kufa by himself, the dark. He sits by a home and he sits down thinking about what's going to happen to Imam Hussein now. I told him, I wrote back to him that when I get there, I'll tell you to come. He's coming and no one's going to be supporting him now. He's thinking, he has this remorse. Until a lady from the house comes out by the name of Tawa. She says, man, what are you doing here? Leave this area. Who are you? He says, I'm Muslim. She says, which Muslim? Son of Aqil. Which Aqil? son of Abu Talib, you are the nephew of my Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen? Yes, I am. Before this happened, her daughter saw him. And she came back to her mom crying. Why do you cry? She says, I saw him say something. I heard him and I saw him. What did he say though? She says, I saw him sad and he said, I'm a lonely man in Kufa. How hard is it be? Brother, how hard can it be? Brothers and sisters, it's difficult when the whole world's against you, but you have people supporting you. It's worse when you're all alone, ghareeb, wandering in Kufa. She says to him, your uncle is my Imam and you're sitting outside. What is it you need? He says, please, water. May Allah bless the lips in Karbala that didn't get water. She brings him inside her home. She says, look, you're a wanted man. I'll try to take care of you and shelter you, but I can't do much when the authorities come. He says, it's fine. Just give me this moment to pray. And he prays his layl, praying, establishing his prayer. History books say that she had a son that worked under Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. And he came home and saw this man, Muslim ibn Aqil, praying in his own home. He goes and he informs Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. They sent 300 men, la ilaha illallah. As in it's only one man, 300 men. And I'm shocked that 300 men, what about the one who had 72 against 30,000? He said, but that time is coming inshallah on the 10th. Let's just be patient from now. 300 men come out and they all fight Muslim from left and right. They fight him, but again, who are you fighting? The nephew of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Asadullah al-Ghalib. It's not an easy fight. The man go and retreat and they go to Ubaydullah and say, send us more. I've already sent you 300. How many do you want? Do you not know who we're fighting? This is the nephew of Ali. This man is unmatchable. We have to get more. And so they brought the men and they surrounded Muslim ibn Aqil from all sides. One man struck Muslim on his chest. Another man struck Muslim with a pole to his head. And you would think they would take him to the castle by allowing him to walk. They dragged him through the streets of Kufa. Salamullahi alayk. When they brought Muslim to the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Ubaydullah said to him, you are now going to be killed. Is there anything you want? He says, I have 3 wills. Number 1, I owe somebody money. Do not kill me unless I paid them what I owe. It's a lesson for all of us. If you owe someone something, fulfill it before it's too late. Number 2, allow me an Islamic death. Do not allow my body to fall onto the streets and neglected. Oh Muslim, if you saw what they did later on. And number 3, tell Hussein not to come to Kufa. Tell Hussein to not make it here. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad says, as for your first request, we'll fulfill it. But as for your Islamic burial, you will have the worst burial. And we will not tell Hussein anything. They take Muslim ibn Aqil to the top of the palace. They beat him down. Narrations say they brought a knife and they put it in the mouth of Muslim, turning it, breaking his blessed teeth. And they brought him to the roof of the castle. They slaughtered Muslim ibn Aqil and pushed him down from the roof. Before he fell, he yelled out with his loudest voice, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. Imam Hussein is on his way. He responds back by saying, Wa alayka salam, ya Habibi Muslim. He goes to a Sayyida Zainab and says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. A Sayyida says, what happened, my beloved? She says to her, Muslim has now been martyred. You know who he goes to? Hamida, the daughter of Muslim. Allah, it's the hardest thing to tell a young girl her dad has now been killed. He doesn't tell her. Do you know what the Imam does? He pats Hamida on the head and she says to him, my beloved uncle, have I now become an orphan? The Imam says, why do you say so? She says, because Rasulullah would say, when an orphan has lost both his parents, make sure you tap them on the head to show them comfort. Imam says to her, yes, Muslim has fallen. The girls now approach, and the young men approach, the sons of Imam al-Hussein. Imam says to Hamida that my sons are like your brothers now, and my daughters are like your sisters. She feels lonely, so he's trying to remind her, you still have people, don't feel sad. Do you know who comes and embraces her, one of the first? Sukaina, salamullahi alayha. And what happened to Sukaina? She hugs Hamida. Sukaina? She says, Hamida, don't worry. I will watch after you. I have one question, Ya Sayyidati. Who watched after you in Sham? When you were taken in the prison cell and they brought your father's head, who hugged you? You hug Hamida now, Ya Sayyidati. And who's going to hug you when you're taken to Kufa, whipped and slapped? In Karbala, she was smacked by Shimar ibn Dhul Jawshan. In Kufa, she was pelted with stones. No one to hug her. When she gets to Sham and they bring her father's head on a platter, she doesn't hug, she doesn't receive any hugs, but she gives the hug to the head of her father. And at that moment, my dear respected brothers and sisters, she recognizes that when Hamida had somebody to comfort her, who can comfort us besides Al-Aqila Zainab, who inshallah we will examine in the upcoming nights very soon. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. Raise your hands. فرج عنا يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. 10 times يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. إلهي بحق الحسين ارزقنا زيارة الحسين في الدنيا وشفاعته في الآخرة. إلهي بحق مريض كربلاء شافي مرضانا. إلهي بحق الحسين اجعلنا من أنصاره. إلهي بحق الحسين لا تبعد بيننا وبين الحسين في الدنيا أبدا. إلهي بحق الحسين اجعلنا من أنصاره والذابين بين يديه. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات سيما من أوصانا بالدعاء رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.